Proportional reasoning. Our objective is to apply proportional relationships to rates and scale. Who uses this? Rock climbers can use proportions to indirectly measure the height of cliffs. Let's start with some vocabulary. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. And a rate is a ratio that involves two different units, like meters per second. An indirect measurement uses known lengths, similar figures, and proportions to measure objects that cannot easily be measured. Let's look at the cross products property. The cross products of a proportion are equal. For example, if you multiply 3 times 15, that gives you 45, and 9 times 5, that also gives you 45. So you can cross multiply to solve a proportion. Let's practice. Alright, so let's solve each proportion. So when we cross multiply, we end up with 22 times 13.5, and that's going to equal 9 times x. And 22 times 13.5 is 297. That still equals 9x. And to solve for x, we want to divide both sides of the equation by 9 to get x by itself. And when we do so, we have 33 equals x. Take a moment and pause the video and try B. When you return to the video, the answer will be revealed. So in this case, W equals 2. Let's try solving percent problems. So a college brochure states that 11.5% of students attending the college are majoring in engineering. If 2,400 students are attending the college, how many are majoring in engineering? Well, let's start with setting up a proportion, since that's what we're dealing with here. So a percent is always out of 100. So let's write that so it's out of 100. Because that's the part of 100, so part to whole. And we want to know how many students are majoring in engineering. So that's the part that we don't know, that's the part. And the whole is the number of students in total, so that's 2,400. Once you set up your proportion, now you can cross multiply to simplify. So we have 11.5 times 2,400. So we're going to multiply these two together. And when you do so, you end up with 27600. So 27,600, which is equal to 100x. Now to get x by itself, we want to divide both sides by 100. And when we divide by 100, we simply move our decimal around. So because we're dividing by 100, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So we're left with 276 students are majoring in engineering. Let's look at a fitness application. A pedometer measures how far a jogger has run. To set her pedometer, Rita must know her stride length. Rita counts 328 strides as she runs once around a 400-meter track. So 328 strides and a 400-meter track. A meter is about 39.37 inches. So we know that 400 meters is the same as saying 328 strides. And we want to figure out how many meters, or how many one stride is. Alright, so to start with this, we're going to cross multiply. So 400 times 1 is 400. And we're just going to divide that by 328 strides. So that means x is going to be about 1.22 meters. Make that look like a 1 for you guys. Okay, so x is about 1.22 meters. Well, they wanted to know how long her stride is in inches. So now we need to change our meters to inches. Well, let's start with the common fact that 39.37 inches is the same thing as saying 1 meter. So if that's the case, we can simply take our 1.22 meters and multiply that by 39.37, and we end up with about 48 inches. Per stride. So, let's look at our recreation application. A rock climber wants to know the height of a cliff. The climber measures the shadow of her friend, who is 5 feet tall and standing beside the cliff, and measures the shadow of the cliff. If her friend's shadow is 4 feet long and the cliff's shadow is 60 feet long, how tall is the cliff? Well, let's start with drawing a small diagram. So we've got her friend. Yes, I know, awesome stick figure here. Okay, so the friend is 5 feet tall, and the shadow for her friend is 4 feet tall. And then we have the cliff, and we know we want to find out what the height of the cliff is, and the shadow is 60 feet long. So with this, we can set up a proportion where we have 4 over 5, so the shadow over the height, it's going to equal the shadow length over the height. And then we can cross multiply, so we have 4x equals 5 times 60, which is 300. And then divide both sides by 4, which leaves us with 75 feet. So the cliff is approximately 75 feet tall. And that ends our lesson on proportional reasoning.